A very weird weather pattern is shaping up this week with warm temperatures for November standards as temperatures are well above normal. And we have quiet weather this week along with those warmer temperatures. We'll dive into those details and also talk about the long term weather pattern through November, as I do think changes are coming and they will be coming very quickly over the next 7 to 10 days. We'll dive into those details later on in today's video. If you are not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel and you want to be subscribed to the channel, if you like detailed weather breakdowns on North America and the tropics, this is the place for you. So subscribe to the channel down below. It's absolutely free to do, and it goes a long way in helping out the channel. If you do press the thumbs up button, it helps to get all this information passed along to more and more people. So this morning, temperatures are mild for November standards from the Ohio Valley all the way back through the Mid-South and the Southern Plains. Temperatures are well into the 50s, if not the low 60s, as you're waking up for work or school this morning. And as we get to the afternoon, as you're heading out the door from work, going home, or from school and going home, it's definitely going to be feeling more like spring, if not summer again. This afternoon, temperatures, especially Ohio Valley, Midwest on south, will be into the 70s, 80s, and even a few 90s popping up into northwest Texas here and into western Oklahoma this afternoon. Yeah, the air conditioners will be humming across the southern plains, and it is November, so definitely seeing some big changes there with our temperatures. But why are we seeing this? So looking at the 500 millibar height anomaly, and this is basically just showing what you can see in through the upper level pattern, and you do have a weak ridge in place across portions of the United States, especially across the southern plains. That's where we have those warmer temperatures and a bit of a trough across the west. Now, this isn't the strongest trough we've ever seen, and it's definitely not the coldest trough we've ever seen, so definitely seeing that early on this week. Some changes will be coming down the line as we go later into this week. That trough out west will start to eject across the upper Midwest. This will bring our next storm system across the United States as we go through this week, and we're going to be talking about that here. We got that low pressure system up here near Lake Superior and portions of Ontario by Thursday. This is on November 9th, and with a cold front that'll be extending from portions of Quebec down through the eastern Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley, and into the southern plains. Now, this storm system is not going to have a lot of moisture with it. It's very starved for moisture, so the rainfall, the snowfall, the mixed precipitation is not really going to be totaling up to a whole lot as we go into the day on Thursday. But sure, could be seeing some showers and thunderstorms from Texas on up through the Ohio Valley, and some snow where temperatures are cool enough across southeastern Canada and the upper Great Lakes on Thursday. As we move into Friday, this is November 10th, later this week, that storm system will be moving into Quebec with the central low pressure. We'll have the cold front moving off the coast, and we could still see some unsettled weather from Virginia down through the Carolinas and portions of the Gulf Coast. Nothing crazy. We're not thinking anything severe, and certainly not seeing much in the way of flooding concerns. I know there's a lot of drought going on, so this would actually be beneficial rain for this area, so definitely seeing that Thursday into Friday. Overall, here's your total rainfall accumulation in inches now through the end of the weekend on Sunday, November 12th. Decent rains, beneficial rains are on the way across portions of the Deep South and the Dixie Alley on up through the Tennessee Valley there. You can see widespread rainfall amounts in those blue shaded colors of at least a half an inch. And then the heaviest of the rains centered from portions of the Little Rock area into Arkansas, back through Texarkana there, the Shreveport area into Louisiana, and coastal Texas as well. The Houston Metroplex down through Corpus Christi there, maybe even Dallas on eastward. We could be seeing some heavier rains in the purple and even red. 1 to 3 inches of rain look to be on the way as we go later this week with the storm system. So some beneficial rains in areas that need the rain. Here's the latest drought monitor posted from last Thursday. We'll get a new one, of course, this upcoming Thursday, but you can see how significant this is. From Tennessee Mississippi, back into northern Georgia. We have that extending down into Alabama, and then really getting significant with our drought into Mississippi, Louisiana, and southeast Texas. This is where we're seeing that extreme and exceptional drought starting to build across the majority there of Mississippi, Louisiana, and southeast Texas near the Houston Metroplex. So we really do need the rainfall in desperately across that region, and here's a nice opportunity for that as we go through later this week and into this weekend. Now, the cold side of the storm, as I mentioned, we'll have some snow up across the upper Great Lakes and southeastern Canada. Will it be a huge snowstorm? Probably not, but it does look like a couple of inches are on the way for portions there of southern Manitoba, portions of central and southern Ontario, and much of Quebec as well, especially central and southern Quebec. As we go through that weekend time frame, we could have some backwash moisture moving across Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, and upstate New York. And if temperatures are just cool enough, we could be seeing some light snow showers and maybe a dusting up to an inch or so in some of those areas going into this weekend. But that is about it with our snowfall prospects. And looking forward into next week, yeah, we just have a blowtorch of a November continuing. We have a lot of warm air across the middle of the country. Temperatures will be well above average for the middle of November standards, especially centered across the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes region. And only the below average or near normal temperatures of note will really be across the west there and into California and Nevada and even western Arizona. So that's what we're seeing as we're going in towards next week. And looking at the precipitation forecast from our friends at the Climate Prediction Center, looks to become more active, and changes are coming towards the middle of the month. So as we get into next week and the next weekend here, we're going to be starting to see more of these troughs, and more significant troughs at that, starting to develop out west, and then they'll pivot their way to the east across the middle of the country and into the southeast as we go into the middle of November. So what does this all mean? So here again is the 500 millibar height anomaly for the middle of November. And like I mentioned, getting toward that 14th, 15th time frame of November, it's a blowtorch, folks. We got a ridge across the middle of the country, and no matter when you have a ridge, whether it's June, July, or November, you're going to have some warmer temperatures than normal. And we certainly will have that with well above average temperatures centered here across the upper Midwest as we get into the middle of November. And notice, we do have a trough across portions of eastern Canada and parts of the coastal New England regions. And we have a more significant trough well away of our west coast, well to the west of California for the middle of November. But watch as we get towards probably around that 16th, 17th, 18th time frame of November. Notice that ridge starts to weaken just a little bit and pushes a little bit further off to the east. And we have a fairly significant looking trough trying to develop across the west coast. And if this does come to fruition there around that 16th, 17th, and 18th time frame, this could be causing some rather healthy rainfall amounts and snowfall amounts for the Sierras out there into California and the West Coast, respectively. So we'll be continuing to watch that around that time frame. But when you start to see a significant trough like this, it has to move east at some point, and it looks to eject into the plains, likely the central and southern plains, into that 18th, 19th, and 20th time frame of November. And when you have a ridge preceding that, that is some trouble, and that means we could be seeing some severe weather, and probably our most significant threat of severe weather possibly this fall if this comes to fruition. And looking here at the unstable Cape environment, out ahead of that, with that trough out ahead of that, with our well above average temperatures and the clash of air masses, Cape is convective available potential energy, and it looks to build near the Mississippi Valley in the strongest Cape around portions of Arkansas, Oklahoma, and East Texas, as you normally would see it for the middle of November. But it is impressive looking, as we could have some decent Cape values even up into Iowa, northern Illinois, southern Minnesota, and southwest Wisconsin if this comes to fruition. I know this will probably change a million times, but this is something to keep an eye on for the middle of November. And looking at the upper level jet stream, very diffluent down here across portions of the southern United States. We have a very strong subtropical jet and that polar jet coming in and really starting to phase across our southern plains. And what this tells me is that there's going to be a lot of lift with this storm system. We're going to lift up all the moisture and instability and create cloud cover and eventually thunderstorms, some of which with those CAPE values could be severe. So we'll watch that. Here's my thoughts on the potential storm setup for the middle of November. Now, this will change in future forecasts, but if you live from eastern portions of South Dakota, southern Minnesota, southwest Wisconsin, all the way down towards the Gulf Coast, really centered across portions of the Midwest, the Missouri Valley, and the lower Mississippi Valley, I really want you to pay attention towards the middle of November and beyond toward late November, because things will be changing. We could have these more significant troughs starting to move in across the middle of the country that could be producing some severe weather, and probably most significant severe weather of the fall season potentially. So something to keep an eye on there as we move forward. Now, turning to the tropical weather update, to be honest, there's not much to talk about here. The National Hurricane Center says there's no new tropical cyclones expected for the next 7 days. That's the next week. So that is certainly some good news, but the Climate Prediction Center is still holding on to the favorability there through November 21st. Getting very close to Thanksgiving holiday across the portions of the Central and Western Caribbean and maybe towards the Yucatan for potentially some active weather if we have any active weather develop then. So we'll continue to watch that for the long term. But our hurricane season in the Atlantic is slowly starting to wrap up as we're getting closer and closer towards the middle and end of November. We only have a few weeks left climatologically of our Atlantic hurricane season. So we'll be continuing to watch that as we move forward through time. And we certainly will keep an eye on it right here on Weather on the Go. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below. It's absolutely free to do, especially if you do like these detailed weather breakdowns across North America and the tropics. I will be here all season long tracking these storms for you. Make sure if you do like today's video to press the thumbs up button, the like button down below. That's absolutely free to do as well. And again, it helps to get all of this weather information passed along to more and more people. Well, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope everybody has a great Tuesday out there, and I'll see you all in the next video.